Welcome to the Business of School podcast, brought to you by Cole Connect. Get ready for a journey of topical insights, engaging conversations, and maybe a few aha moments from the business, finance, and technology side of schools. Cole School experts are your host, and with our guests from the world of education, we're about to embark on a learning adventure to support you in the business of your school. Originally from a finance and accounting background, Ravi's passion for technology inevitably led him to leadership roles in the ERP and cloud services space. An innovator at heart, the next logical step was founding his own technology company, where he'd be able to create solutions and see the difference they've made firsthand. Since then, he's been solving business problems and enabling lasting change for multinational organisations. Fyoda is a technology platform that brings Oracle NetSuite into the education sector to meet innovatively the finance needs of schools. Thanks, Ravi, for joining me on the Business of School podcast. Great to see you.
Thanks, Kenton. Good to see you too.
So you're currently visiting Dubai and immersing yourself in the technology space in schools over there. How's your trip going?
Yeah, it's been excellent. It's been refreshing, and it's completely a different market over here in terms of the technology stack, innovations, the size of the market. So the show which I'm visiting, it's held in Dubai, but it's just primarily covers the GEC countries, which is like all the Middle Eastern countries. And there's a lot of schools from UK, America, Singapore, what have you. So it's truly a global
Yeah,
event.
fascinating. Yeah, that's good. Well, we'll have a chat about the global market maybe in a little bit, but maybe firstly, let's just look back and chat about where historically schools have come from with their financial systems.
Yeah, great question. I mean, that's what we are here. All right. So traditionally, the schools would have a system, one system, which would do everything. So they would have the student management, student information system, accounting and finance would be another sort of a module which will be added onto it. But now we are seeing a lot of shift in terms of schools and even in the commercial world. There's what we call the best of breed solution. So, in my experience over 15 years working with large corporations, there's no one solution which fits all. It simply cannot happen. If there is a solution which does everything in a different stream, they're not a full-fledged solution. So they're not a best of breed. There's compromise always. The schools realize, and the accounting and finance have realized that they need to be on the top of their game, and they want more sort of sophisticated or more intelligent systems rather than systems which will do everything but not do certain things good at certain parts.
Yeah. And I suppose as well, what we've seen in the past is when people have used a variety of different systems, is the integration between them has been poor as well. So that's probably why there was a trend to go towards inbuilt systems that did lots of different functions. Whereas now with integration and APIs being a lot more easy to set up and flexible, finding the best of breed software for different functions is a really good option.
Absolutely. So the APIs in a lot of vendors, software vendors, they have improved quite largely. So is technology stack and also the connectors. So there's a lot of connectors out there nowadays where it's plug and play. So people have done those API connections. And the biggest other factor is it's just not like API. You need to do a field mapping. You need to make sure the data integrity is on. With these days, most of these API connectors or most of some of the platforms like the middlewares will able to do you that quickly and also will be able to do it in a plug and play kind of fashion.
Yep. And what about data management and reporting and analytics? What are you seeing happening in schools today? What are the current trends in people's appetite towards that?
There's a big shift. I mean, if you look at again, I'm talking from a lot of commercial experience I have with software companies and the other industries which we have operated in the past. There's been always analyticals and reporting is a big, it's sort of a big avenue. People want it, and it's always revolves around the data and then more importantly, the meaningful data analyticals they can get out of those reportings. So there's always been a need for reporting, but now it's more sort of sophisticated in terms of different data analysis, and there's a innovation in reporting. So there are companies or technology stack which particularly focuses on reporting and data analyticals alone. Or there is a few companies in the school space as well. I've seen in one of our webinar, not sorry webinars, one of those exhibitions, expos which we had in Australia, and when we came over here, there's companies who are actually consultants who actually specialize in data analyticals alone. So that's a big shift. Where it used to be get a report out of your balance sheet, your trial balance, put together, stick to some numbers, and put it in an Excel, and off you go. Now it's not that.
Well, and another key area with the reporting in the financial school space is budgets. It used to be very much just about tracking spending and managing that budget. How is that different now in the technology space of schools?
Um, yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So previously, you used to have a budget. You set up a budget, then you have your actuals, then you sort of compare your actuals, and then you see any variations, and then if this things happen, you want to change those budgets, or you want to change based on what actually happened. So you want to change the budget forward looking and report on it. It used to be basic step, but now with the advance of technology as well as the market conditions are very fluid. Just so I can highlight 4 years ago when COVID happened, no one was expecting that. No one was going to be, and you can't put a budget. And what happens to a budget if you put it in 10 years? Now, the technology cannot predict there's going to be a COVID, or there's going to be a pandemic, or there's going to be a financial crisis, or whatever it is. But the technologies now are more sophisticated in terms of they do a 10-year planning and things happen. You quickly could navigate that and change variables and see a different trend, and also copy what happened before in a legacy frame and have comparison. So what we see in the technology space is the planning and budgeting modules are more getting proactive rather than reactive. They're predicting, for example, Oracle's planning and budgeting. They focus heavy on AI, and they have AI driven insights. And not only it gives you prediction model, but it's got capabilities in terms of alerting you saying, I'm seeing a red flag in another quarter because I see a trend going this way on your expenses or the income or your receivables. So there's various metrics you could put in and put rules around it to automate it and get the software tell you there's something anomaly is coming your way
Yeah,
before it
and
hits you.
I must say as well that the Fioda budgeting module as well is leading the way in the school space too. It's offering some of these functionalities that we haven't seen before, which is exciting and it's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. We're excited as well. Oracle has now released that planning and budgeting tool, which is sort of earmarked or exclusive to the big banks and the other government agencies and bigger corporations. But now, with any days, technology is getting more affordable and less expensive these days. So having an Oracle planning and budgeting, which is being used by government agencies and treasuries and all of that, and have the same technology stack to be deployed in a school space, is refreshing, and
Yeah,
it's all exciting.
yeah, definitely, definitely. There's a lot of excitement going around and looking at some of these tools that we can add to the technology stack. Brilliant. And also, you just referred in there in a comparison between the school sector and the corporate world. The business side of schools has recently seen a large influx of new business managers and financial professionals into the sector from other commercial backgrounds. That's been a quite a common trend over the last few years. How is this, in your opinion, changing the attitude and the appetite for financial technology in schools?
Yeah, certainly. So there's always these change of guard or change of personals or change of any sort of wave, a new wave catches up. So we're seeing a lot of schools who have been advertising in LinkedIn as well with new CFO, CEO sort of kind of roles, not CEO, more of CFO's finance director. as traditionally before it was used to be a bursar, a business manager. So those title roles, personals, all changing, and a lot of commercial kind of finance managers or finance professionals are coming in into the school industries. And when they look at the technology, they're not only looking at that particular technology, they're looking at planning and budgeting, compliances, reporting, and all sorts of methodologies where they gain efficiencies and effectiveness. And in that way, technology is also one of those core factors behind it in terms of how they could utilize it and how they can springboard some of the learnings or some of those experience they have from a commercial world and adapt it into the school
Yeah,
environment. So
yeah.
there's
Yeah,
been a certain
there's a definite
big shift.
change in financial models and analytics that are required from your software to meet some of these objectives that are coming in from the business side of the commercial world to the business side of schools.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, the commercials are profit making organizations where the schools are non profit. But when it comes to expenses and expenses managements and budgets and then regulations, it's pretty the same. In fact, schools are more rigor and more, in a sense, complex or more disciplinarian in terms of regulations. Whereas in commercial world, there's bit of some organizations take it seriously, some organizations don't. For example, with our particular planning and budgeting software and ESG reporting, which is the environmental social governance reporting, is not compulsory, but in certain industries, it's compulsory in commercial world. But there are commercial worlds who have adapted that and they are reporting on ESG when they don't have to. So that's more of a social moral responsibility. Likewise, in school space, there are few schools who are already doing or they're producing those kind of reports, even though it's not mandatory. So those kind of differences is not that varied from a commercial world to a school world. At the end of the day, everyone has got an organization, everyone makes revenue, and everyone has to manage those expenses. Whether you make a profit or non-profit is a byproduct of that end objective.
Yep. And so what have with some of those changes that we've just discussed, both within the personnel and the reporting requirements in the business of schools these days, what have you done with the Fiota solution that differentiates it from some of the other more familiar school-based financial softwares?
Great question. So, for starters, Fiota solution resides or built on Oracle NetSuite. And Oracle NetSuite has been there in the market for the last 20, 24 years now. And a lot of leading organizations use Oracle NetSuite for financial accounting, e-commerce, inventory. Non-profit organizations use as well for fund management and grant management. We've used that technology. So the technology stack or the database and the infrastructure is unparalleled. I mean, it competes with bigger solutions out in the market, Oracle, NetSuite, with enterprise solution. So we've taken that platform and we've configured in a way and adaptable in a way that it's now more a school flavor to that particular software, and that's what Fiora is all about, is making that Oracle NetSuite a bigger enterprise platform, more adaptable, and more tailor focused on the schools.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good. We're seeing that having a huge interest from schools around Australia and New Zealand, especially, and also because of there's the new personnel, the new roles, the new people that have come into the school sector from other backgrounds and are familiar with those sort of systems and that sort of data reporting and analytics. So yeah, it's great to see. Earlier on, we mentioned you were in Dubai, and we talking a little bit. We touched on overseas markets. With from your interactions with many of the schools over there in the Middle East, what are some of the differences that you are seeing between the ANZ sector and the overseas markets at the moment?
Yeah, that's a great comparison, actually. I was thinking about it in terms of how the schools or how the technology show. happens here compared to in Australia. So in Australia, we do have the EdTech, which is a big, massive show. Usually happens in Melbourne, and then we got ASWA conferences, and then we have the Catholic conferences, and everything. Over here is sort of similar. So this particular show is a big technology conference, but they also have a silo, sort of mini focused on finance and focused on specialized area. The biggest thing I've noticed over here is the choice of vendors over here compared to the ratio of schools, and their spend is quite high as well in terms of smaller schools or bigger schools. They tend to spend more because they're well funded. So there's a choice of vendors, there's a choice of a lot of players in the market, and then this is happening everywhere in commercial world or everywhere in the world, and everywhere I see or been walking around in these shows, there's a presence of AI, AI. It's like just it's sort of the buzzword or thing. I sometimes wonder really whether what that AI is really helping, or it's just for there for capturing the attention. And some of the companies have started saying AI tutoring, AI tutor, how AI is helping tutoring. So there's all those waves, and I see that coming to our shows as well, because once it's got adaptability and things like that. So at the moment, it's still, I think it's still not mature. It's still not. There are some meaningful, real meaningful cases in AI can help,
Well, yeah,
but
maybe let's talk about that a little bit then, because, like you said, it's an absolute red hot topic in the school technology space, isn't it? AI. Um, what what do you see as the role of AI in the schools over here in Australia and New Zealand, especially in the finance and the business area? Go looking forward.
yeah, so actually, I mean, AI is we've been doing AIs and automations before the word AI sort of came in, artificial intelligence. You do it. A lot of people, a lot of schools have done it in software, so it's not new. So AI, to me, in sort of financial, as I said, AI can be a tool which can be, so if you have a large data and you need to analyze it, so AIs can do better data mining. So they have better data mining capabilities in terms of your financials, how you're looking at the trends, how is your expenses going, how you can allocate your budgets. Similar to using those chat-based AI to ask for certain information, that this scattered data, getting into more organized data, AI can help in financials as well. Uh, and then in terms of, I mentioned earlier about predictive analysis, saying I've got these kind of data, I can predict that based on the historical trends, based on what's happening in the market, the finances are heading in a steady good way or this way, or there's tweaks you can do it. So AI helping. I see AI more like an external consultant, sort of who has got the vast amount of information and also have an intelligence and a brain to predict based on these kind of data. I could do that, but again, AI models has to be trained. So they, although they have artificial intelligence, they need to be trained with a lot amount of data, a lot amount of predictive analysis to suit your particular need. But if you do that, if you do get that, there's nothing like it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the
And
one of the
also,
main
it's
things.
the capability of it being able to be proactive with your financial reporting, whereas most financial reporting is very reactive or historical or looking backwards. Whereas,
Yeah. So financial reporting is actually is a dead data to me. Either it's done in Excel, it's done in a software. You run the report, and then you take that data and then put it on a report or whatever it is, and put it to board pack or to who you want it. So it's a dead data after the fact you've reported. What you see now is so more dynamic reporting. So, for example, I can only give examples from what I sort of do in an industry sense in Oracle planning and budgeting. You could have those reporting done and send it as links to the board members or executives or management. And these reports are dynamic. They're not dead data. So they're able to help you to go and look into the data, drill that data out, and see what it is meaningful. And you might have produced a report last week, And then if you want to get the current report and have some analysis, there are tools now which can dynamically do that in real time. NetSuite is a great example of real-time data. So there's no dead data, because what data might be relevant year ago or 2 year ago is not relevant anymore. I had a good meeting with a sort of private independent school in Melbourne, and they were saying that the reports they generate is about a year, and the boards rely on that report, and it's okay. That's what's being done. But personally, the business manager over there wouldn't want to do that. They want to be having more sort of dynamic and saying, hey, that reporting, that data is no more relevant, so we can't make decisions based on that. So it would affect your decision making. So real-time data is very critical in that aspect.
Yep, it's just about finding the tools to provide it, and there's just becoming more and
Absolutely.
more options for it. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we've sort of looking forward a little bit in what we've been talking about. Maybe it's time to get your crystal ball out, Ravi. What future trends are you witnessing with school technology, and where do you see school financial systems being tomorrow?
Good questions. I wish I had a crystal ball to predict everything or have what it is, but I could say it based on my experience and based on what the technology is coming in.
Well, I can guarantee
Uh,
the weather tomorrow for you is going to be warm and humid.
I think that's pretty constant here, except for the nights. No, I'm actually looking forward to coming to Melbourne back and then experience 4 seasons in 1 hour. Um, Now, yeah. So, in terms of the technology where it's heading, to starters, we're seeing, as we talked about it earlier, the best of the breed solution aspects. There's two school of thoughts. A lot of large schools and bigger schools, and even some independent small schools, all saying want to have a proper financial accounting system and want a technology which can back up that. So we're seeing the trends. Few schools are saying, "No, I'm happy. I want to have one all-in-one solutions. I don't want to go. I know there are robust APIs and everything, but I would rather have one." So there's two kind of school of thought. I mean, there's no one right or wrong about it. It's more kind of what the schools approach and what they want to do it.
Yep, it all
Now,
depends on appetite and budget, and there's a whole variety of both of those, isn't there?
exactly, exactly. But to me, what is I'm sort of confident, and where, I'm sort of being very satisfactory. But either way you choose, there are options out there in the world or in right now in technology space to have like what we talked about, AI, predictive analysis, data management, reporting tools. Either it's an Oracle NetSuite solution or it's any other competitor solution or any other solutions. You can now do all these things whichever path you choose, whether you're on an exclusive accounting financial software or you're in build, because the data is available at the moment. So then you could go and dissect those data, structure those data, and have more reporting tools as an add-on. So for example, Oracle NetSuite planning and budgeting tool actually works with SAP in commercial work. So you wouldn't think they're competitors, they compete head on, but no, it uses the data. Similarly, Oracle NetSuite's analytical tools could work in a wide range of analytical data from different sources, multiple sources, not just your SIS, your any other LMS and any other modules, and all this data can all come in and then have meaningful analyticals. So I see that happening. So a lot of schools need to really embrace these technologies and adapt it.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter what
Instead,
flavour you are, what school you are now. There's options.
there's options, and you also have to embrace these technology and start adapting it, and then start working on it and getting it. So you need to be try to stay ahead of the curve. I mean, you teach in your curriculum and everything in terms of what's happening in terms of technologies or other advancements in science and STEM and everything. That's the same thing happening on a financial or a technology or a business use. There are technologies coming in. You can't adapt everything, but you got to stay top of the curve, or you have to ride the curve and be on top of it rather than be below it and fall behind. And then, yes, you could catch up, but that's going to be more costlier and time consuming than adapting it early on.
And that becomes a challenge in itself, though, because the technology space in the school sector and the digital transformation is going at such a rapid pace. Sometimes you feel like you're falling behind. So schools have really got to keep one eye on that constantly, and that's where trade shows, expos, podcasts and those sort of things are very important to help school leadership keep abreast of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So the knowledge is the key here. So you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of information out there, and then you need to sort of put a fine comb in it and saying, hang on, is this going to be adaptable to us and its doing? So you can talk about great things, but practically, am I going to able to use it, and is it going to be meaning? Is it going to provide some meaningful insight or meaningful outcomes to my organization? And that's the key. And if it is, then yeah, by all means, you need to go and pursue that rather than holding back and saying, no, we'll do it at a time when it comes.
Yeah, it's getting to the point though. It's a bit like the kid in the sweet shop, isn't it? And look at all the candy, and it's like I don't know which one to have. And we're finding our software professional services team are getting more and more requests from schools just to help me see the wood for the trees. What's the best solution for our requirements, and help just give us a helping hand and work with the software providers. So there's a lot of advice out there. There's a lot of support. There's a lot more options with the software houses now. There's some great technology coming out. Like we've been chatting with, and I think we could probably talk about this for a long time. But
Absolutely. I just want to make one correction there. Not a kid in a candy store. You need to be an adult in a candy store. Because the kid is going to take
even worse.
Kids. Yeah.
The kids know
So
what they
that's
want.
exactly the point, right? You have a lot of candies out there. And if you're going to put a kid, they're going to consume everything. But you need to be an adult in a candy store and pick the right one you want. So you just want to have the flavor and taste, but you're looking after your health and your fitness and whatever, and don't overindulge in it.
Yeah, I love the metaphor. That's good. Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting, Ravi, and I think we're talking about a topic that's fast changing. There's always going to be new to discuss, so we'd love to have you back on in the future on the Business of School podcast. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Kenton, having me all the way from half of the world. And it's been a pleasure chatting with you. And it's also been a pleasure chatting with where we're working with some of our common mutual clients as well. And we share that technology. We share what's coming. It's been great to come back and help you and the school community at large in whatever experience and whatever technologies and whatever those candies out there to help them to choose the right one.
No, thank you very
Absolutely.
much. Yeah, we very much feel like with a glue in the middle. Well,
My
safe
pleasure.
safe
Very
journey
good.
home, and enjoy the rest of your trip over there. And we look forward back seeing you again next time on Australian soil.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Thank you. Look after
Thanks.
yourself. Thanks, Ravi. Bye.
You will do. See you then. Bye.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Business of School podcast. We've enjoyed the conversation today and would love to have you join us for future episodes. Please hit the subscribe button and follow the links below to find more information and resources to support you and your school team. Until next time, keep being innovative, keep being awesome, and remember, there is always opportunity to improve on the journey. Thanks for connecting.